Welcome everyone. I am so happy to see you all here for our second annual meeting of the CSE Diversity and Inclusivity Alliance. For those who aren't that familiar with the Alliance, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about us. So we are a grassroots group. We're supported by the CSE administration, but the whole goal of the Alliance is really to improve the climate for everyone here in CSE. And so today we're going to give you an update about where we are at with respect to advancing the mission of the Alliance with respect to diversity, equity, and inclusion here in the college and in the university. And I'm really happy to introduce you to a number of people today who are going to be presenting and giving you updates about, what we're doing right now, what we're going to be doing in the future, how you can engage with the Alliance, how you can engage with diversity and inclusivity here in the college. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Polly Sulia. So Polly, let's see, I have control here. Sorry, there we go. So Polly is a junior in mechanical engineering. He's currently the president of ACES, the American Indian Science and Engineering Society, and he's going to start us off in a good way today. He's going to start us off with a land recognition. So welcome, Polly. You should have control at this point. And if you could just briefly introduce yourself again. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Kara. It's good to see you all. I was going to introduce myself in Dakota real quick. So, Tahangio Watiakapi, Dakota ia Nahio Hitika, Makiapido, Wasituia Polisuia, Makiapido, Damakota, Oyate Mitawakin Sisituanga, Pictuana Witukapi, Roseville Minnesota, Hetchion Tahawahi, Burnsville, Minnesota, Edmatupi, Minnesota, Woomsbay, Wankanti, at Wabadawa, engineering, King Spring. So what I said was, hi everyone, it's good to see you all again. And then my Dakota name is Strong Spirit. My given name is Polly Suya. I am of Dakota descent and my relatives live out in South Dakota on the Sisseton-Upton Reservation, or Lake Traverse Reservation. I'm from Roseville, Minnesota, grew up there, went to high school there. And right now I study at the U and I study mechanical engineering. So just want to thank you all again for having me. And I just wanted to talk about the land that we're all virtually on right now, hopefully a little physically. So the University of Minnesota and the Twin Cities campus are all built within traditional homelands of the Dakota people. And originally Minnesota is actually a Dakota word. It's Minnesota Makoche, which means the land where the waters reflect the skies. So every day when people are on campus or thinking about it, we consider the space that community members and everyone hold dear to themselves, If you would look out, or if you were crossing the Washington Bridge, you would be walking over the Mississippi, or in Dakota, it's called Hakak-Wakpa, the River of the Waterfalls. So I'm a little affiliated with the Circle of Indigenous Nations, which is the student serving Indigenous office on campus. So they and me would like to recognize the original people of this place and hope that we are all making ongoing efforts to educate the campus community and just continue to build that relationship with the original people of this land. So I think it's important to keep that in mind whenever you're on campus or anywhere in the Twin Cities. Like you can see on the slide here, there's so many original places that have original Dakota names. So thank you all. So these words are based on Iakiwam, Darlene St. Clair of the Bade Wakantuan Dakota. And yeah, Pidame Yapi, thank you all. And I hope this is a great day.
Thank you, Polly. Thank you for starting us off with that. I think it was a really beautiful message for us all. I also want to introduce Edgar Aryaga, who is going to be giving a diversity and inclusivity moment to start off the meeting as well. So thank you, Edgar.
Thank you, Kara. Good morning, everyone. This is a short adaptation from The Star Thrower by Lauren Ainsley. I will read it out loud, and after that, I would just like to pause to ask us to reflect on the message of this adaptation. A young girl was walking along a beach upon which thousands of starfish had been washed up during a terrible storm. When she came to each starfish, she would pick it up and throw it back into the ocean. People watched her with amusement. She had been doing this for some time when a man approached her and said, "Little girl, why are you doing this? Look at the beach. You can't save all that starfish. You can't begin to make a difference." The girl seemed crushed, suddenly deflated. But after a few moments, she bent down, picked up another starfish, and hurled it as far as she could into the ocean. Then she looked up at the man and replied, "Well, I made a difference for that one." Colleagues, friends in our college, the Alliance encourages you to pick up a star and throw it away in your community, in your department, in our college, and in your lives. Let's take a moment to reflect on this. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Edgar, for starting us off with this D&I moment. I think, for me personally, I think about these small moments and how much impact we can all have together by contributing to these small moments. And that's kind of what inspires the Alliance as we move forward. So I want to introduce our next speaker, Dean Cave, who is going to say a few words about, where we're at in the college and his support for the Alliance. So welcome, Dean Cave. You have the stage.
Thank you very much, Kara. Thank you, Polly. Thank you, Edgar, for starting us off with your words of impact and wisdom for us all to continuously be thinking about what you've already been talking about. What a difference a year makes. About a year ago, we had our first D&I Alliance meeting. It was a powerful meeting. We had a lot of very useful conversations, impactful conversations that has guided a lot of the activities of the Alliance for us. But of course, things have taken a turn into an incredible confluence of issues that we've all been facing. And some of us have been facing these in much more significant ways than others. And I want to start off by, first of all, thanking the Alliance leadership, and all the champions within the Alliance for keeping us supported, for having venues and avenues for so many to express their concerns and wishes and hopes for a better future for all of us in a more diverse and equitable and inclusive society, and certainly starting off for us at the college level, College of Science and Engineering. It's been a time of learning for me. I think it's been a time of learning for all of us. None of us practically on this call at this point, given our ages, even somebody at a more advanced age, really advanced age like me, had not gone through a pandemic. So it is something that of this magnitude, we certainly have had pandemics. So it's been for us learning how to work together, live, and deliver on our mission, which is, in our case, teaching learning, and of course, service to the broader community to the extent that we can. It's been a time of significant tragedy. As you all know, with the death of George Floyd earlier and what has happened after that, it's been a time of significant conflict, even going to our election season, and the whole concept of what democracy may mean for a country that I have, and that country hopefully has adopted me, and I have adopted it as my home as an immigrant. So these are just significant challenges, and as I said, many, of course, have been feeling these challenges in much more significant ways than others. Caregivers have been facing additional challenges than many others, but those from marginalized communities have been facing the impact of COVID and other societal conflicts that we've had much more significantly. But I would say that with these challenges, we always take them as opportunities to better ourselves. And one of the things that has been, and thanks again to the Alliance to certainly guide us in many ways in this respect, one thing that the tragedies of the early summer in May brought forth for our college and university and nationally and beyond, but certainly in our college, is that there has been a renewed and vigorous commitment by all of the units within the College of Science and Engineering to re-examine where we have been on issues of diversity and inclusion in general, but much, much more significantly on issues of racism and what racism has done historically and continues to do, even in the spaces that we operate at, which is educating a more diverse community of students and having a workforce, having faculty, staff that also reflect those diversities within the constraints that we all operate at. So I want to sort of leave things in that place, which is a good place, because I believe a number of department heads, for example, are on this call. And what I've seen in the commitment and vigor that our departments have taken on this issue of anti-racism and diversity and inclusion is truly heartwarming and very promising to me. The college, of course, is promoting this issue in every way we can under the conditions that we're all operating under. We have made some commitments to support the Alliance, and we will continue to do that. We have had started initial conversations with, and there's a lot more to do on this one, with a couple of historically Black colleges and universities. At least we've had contacts with the deans, on appropriate deans within those, to see how we can better work together. I have had, and another colleague have had, significant conversations with leadership in a number of key industries within Twin Cities, because we have to work as a community. We educate scientists and engineers in our college, and 75%, historically 75% of the students that we educate, particularly at the undergraduate level, stay in Minnesota and populate as workforce for the companies who themselves have this commitment to expanding on their issues of diversity and inclusion. So we want to work together, and this has been very important. We've had some really significant and very interesting initial discussions, advice from members of those communities, and this is just the start. we're going to be doing a lot more in that. I want to, certainly as a former international student from many, many years ago, I do want to also highlight the concerns and the pressures and the anxiety that our international students and visitors have faced over the past few months with so many issues that have come from our government in terms of difficulties and that many of us have opposed in terms of the natural continuations of their studies and visa issues that are related to supporting their studies. So just highlighting the fact that we're a diverse community. We all face certain things, certain challenges that are common to all of us, but each one of us in groups face additional challenges and concerns. And what I can tell you is that the college is committed to really considering all of these issues, all of your needs, within the constraints of everything that we can do within the situations that we're in. One of the things that was really promoted by some of our champions within the Alliance, which I have made a commitment to support, has to do with increasing the pipeline of future faculty into the college from the BIPOC community. And for this, even within the current budgetary constraints and challenges that we are facing, I have made a commitment to work with our Office of Equity and OED Diversity to fund cohorts of up to, in steady state, 6 postdocs from the BIPOC community. These are postdocs that come through a national effort called the Presidential Postdoctoral Fellowship Program, who we hope will be candidates to move into faculty positions, very much hopefully in our college. So this is one very specific commitment that the college has made at this point, but many, many others as well. So let me stop. I want to, I mean, a big focus of this, I know part of this meeting is to discuss the anti-racism survey that the Alliance ran this summer. I want to again thank you all. Thanks again, Kara, Edgar, Joy, Lindsay, many others actually within the leadership group of the Alliance, who have spent numerous hours, significant effort in analyzing the results of that survey, and we will have an opportunity to discuss those results and plan for the future accordingly. So thank you so much for the opportunity to say a few words, and really wishing all of us another very fruitful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Cave. And, you know, I really want to also just thank you for your continued support, because I think as a grassroots group, we can certainly make efforts and improve the lives of people here in the college. But I think without that sort of partnership that we've gained with you and that commitment on your end to really listen to everyone, to listen to the different perspectives, to have conversations with people, you know, I think it would be pretty challenging to make some of the really sort of systemic changes that need to be made, for example, to end racism and improve, you know, the work that we all do here, improve our teaching, improve, you know, the climate really of the college. And so, so thank you again for your commitment to this. So as was mentioned, we did put together an anti-racism survey that many people responded to. And I'm going to introduce Lindsay Fisher, who is part of the lead team from the Dean's Office. And she's going to give a very brief summary of the anti-racism results. We've done a few presentations now of these, which are also recorded, but she will summarize some of the main points and main findings that was uncovered in the anti-racism survey. So thank you, Lindsay. You can take over now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lindsay Fisher, and I use pronouns like she and her. Today, I'm going to briefly share the results of the anti-racism survey that was issued last summer in the wake of the murder of George Floyd by a white police officer. The killing of George Floyd was a strong reminder of the systemic racism and social injustice that is pervasive in our surroundings and our environment. We thought it was important to gather the opinions and thoughts from the CSE community to understand what actions should be taken to move forward. At the time of the survey, individuals were experiencing personal trauma, social and community trauma, and intergenerational trauma. Because of this, it was important to keep the survey very simple. We asked 4 open-ended questions about the concerns from the BIPOC community, the actions the Alliance should take, the actions the CSE administration or departments should take, and for any additional feedback. If you would like to see the presentation or report in their entirety, you can find them on the CSE D&I Alliance webpage, which I will send in the chat right now. There, you can go to the next slide. With the Dean's approval, the survey was sent out to the entire college. In total, we had 281 respondents. We collected demographic information from individuals that filled out the survey on a voluntary basis. As you can see, the majority of respondents were undergraduate students, but we did receive responses from people in each of the academic roles across the college. 8 individuals preferred not to tell what their affiliation was. We also asked people if they would be comfortable self-identifying. This graphic shows the breakdown of a few key identities. We wanted to show how many respondents identified as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. We had the largest response from white or allies, and several people chose not to self-identify. After compiling the data, themes started to emerge. Our initial intention was to weight the responses from individuals in the BIPOC community, but we noted that there was strong agreement between their responses and the responses given by individuals from different identities. Once we had the themes, the D&I Alliance lead team compiled the data into a report that was then sent and presented to the CSE deans, the CSE Administrative Council, and then the CSE D&I Alliance. The key asks in the report are as follows. The college should have a well-supported and mandatory training for faculty, managers, and leadership. There's a lot of debate about whether this training should actually be mandatory, so what we recommended is highly encouraged, well-supported training. The college should rethink classroom priorities and teaching. We need to nourish an inclusive community. We need to recruit, mentor, retain, and promote BIPOC in the college. We need to find a way to effectively reach out to K-12 schools and communities. CSE has to be accountable and transparent. CSE should have a D&I director, dean, or similar position that could enable change, recognize and reward individuals that are promoting DEI, and make DEI part of our culture, our evaluations, our plans, and in all the activities that are important for the functioning of the college. CSE should enable better reporting of bias, discrimination, and racism by improving confidential reporting systems. With this report, the Alliance joined the CSE community in asking for actions from the administration and the departments. We are very thankful for the continued support shown by the leaders of our college, and we encouraged the college to accept this challenge because only by doing that can we eliminate systemic barriers within the college. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay, for giving the summary. One thing I also wanted to recognize is that there were many asks made to the administration as well as to the D&I Alliance, and in general, the survey recommended the recommendations were very similar between what was asked of the Alliance, and we're going to be thinking about how we engage with these anti-racism survey results as we move forward and implementing various actions. So I now want to invite, let's see, Ty Frazier, who is on the lead team for the student and postdoc focus group, and Hannah Leopold, who's also on the lead team for the staff and faculty focus group. And they're gonna start giving an introduction to the Alliance, where we're at today, our membership, how we're growing, and really what it means to be an Alliance champion. What are our expectations? What are you contributing when you say that you are an Alliance champion? So I'll start with Ty. Ty, are you there?
I'm here. So before we get to what it means to be, I guess, an Alliance champion, we have first to identify what it means to really be an ally, like in different spaces. We live in a lot of different spaces, and we have a lot of different like spheres of influence. So you really shouldn't think about these things in terms of I have privilege or I don't have privilege in like this space or that space in terms of a two-dimensional kind of thing. Think of like this in-dimensional space where like on these different things you'll have privilege. And it's very important that when you, on these axes of privilege that you reside on, that you go through and use your influence with this privilege to stop bigotry, stop discrimination against those that don't have that privilege, and raise their voices so that they are amplified, so that their voices are heard in this marginalized space that they're put in. So to be an ally, you should realize you can be an ally in a lot of different spaces. Even though you might be marginalized in some spaces, there's still other spaces that you still have privilege. And in those spaces, you need to be allied to those that don't have that. So that's what it means to kind of be like an alliance champion. And we would want people from staff, administration, faculty, grad students, postdocs, undergrads, department. And to spend it, and the requirement in terms of, I guess, load, doing those things we're talking about is about 3 hours per semester, all additional to that on Alliance activities and things of this nature. And that's what it means to be an Alliance champion.
Thank you, Ty. So over the years, our commitment to be an Alliance champion has certainly grown. So what you're seeing on the right is a constellation of our champions and commitment by department. As Ty mentioned, it's really important for us that we have representation not only across departments, but also across different roles within the university. So it's our goal to continue to complete and sustain these constellations within the college. And this recently got updated, and it was very awesome to start seeing adding stars to each of those in the different roles across the departments. So we hope that these continue to become completed within the college. So along with Alliance champions, we have some different kind of layers and structures within the Alliance. All of our Alliance champions encompass the whole college, and as Ty mentioned, are committed to DEI initiatives. And the champions helped us shape our strategic plan and are constantly providing feedback and dialogue with what we call as the 5 action teams. So you're seeing the actions team as a kind of the second layer in this diagram. So the action teams are engaged in implementing the strategic plan and assessing priorities based on feedback from our champions. So for every action team, there's 2 or 3 lead team members that are committed to carrying out the action team responsibilities. And it's really important to us that we are communicating across all of these different levels. So we have action team meetings, and we also have lead team meetings where we're all coming together. And then of course we have this broader meeting of champions where we can meet as a community as well. So if you're wondering who is exactly on the lead team, here's a snapshot of my colleagues who are serving. I'm not going to read every single name on here, but I do want to recognize their work and commitment to advancing these important initiatives. Within the lead team, I also want to recognize that we have diversity across departments and roles as well. So we do want to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table. For example, if we don't have undergraduate students on this lead team, we're missing a huge part of our community. So it's really important that we have a lot of different voices being heard on the lead team in particular.
Thank you, Hannah and Ty. And so now we're going to hear from each of these action teams, where we have a number of people presenting from the lead team, from the different action teams. And as Hannah kind of mentioned, you know, our movement in the Alliance is guided by a strategic plan that was developed from the input of all of you, from undergraduate students, graduate students, postdocs, staff, faculty in the college. And it was developed, and it's a plan in action now. We presented the plan last year at our very first kickoff event. And so now it's our opportunity to share with you, you know, where we're at today, what we're excited to share with you, what has been done, and where we're going in the future, and think about ways you might want to engage in the future as a champion or an action team member. So David Odie from the lead team of the staff and faculty group will be presenting. Rhonda Zern, who's on the lead team for communications. Sadika Prabhu, who is on the action team for students and postdocs focus group. Sue Mantell, who's on the action team for education and professional development, as well as Sam Franco, who's actually on the lead team for the student and postdoc focus group, who's going to give a brief introduction about the funding group, where we're at with that, and continue on to give us some more information about how you can be involved. And with that, I'll pass it along to Dave.
Thanks, Kara, and thanks, Edgar, for your leadership overall for the Alliance. And I also want to thank my co-lead, Hannah Leopold, who just was up updating us. I'm Dave Odie. I'm a professor in the biomedical engineering department, and the pronouns I use are he and him. And just give you an update on the faculty and staff group. This is our goals in the strategic plan were to develop a college climate that values and advances DEI initiatives, recruit a more diverse staff and faculty community, retain and advance staff and faculty. And under our focus group, the strategic plan identified 10 goals, 5 of which were viewed as shorter term and 5 longer term. And among those, one was previously mentioned by Dean Cave, which is something that we've been able to accomplish in the last year as part of the strategic plan, was to launch with the Office of Equity and Diversity a funded program that the college will support 3 incoming postdocs through the Presidential Postdoctoral Fellowship Program that will focus specifically on promoting more diverse community and BIPOC scholars. And with the continuation at steady state to build up to 6 scholars total the next year, so 2-year residence for that. So that was one of our key initiatives that we're continuing to launch. And I guess I would say for those of you who are interested in that, it's just getting started. The process of selection is happening now. Actually, the applications are still coming in, and there'll be a selection process, but importantly, we're planning to build a program around that. So it's not just sending people off to labs, but creating a community around these scholars that they feel welcome, included, and connected. So if you're interested in helping to build that program, Hannah and I would be really eager to have that conversation with you about that. The future aspiration, another one of our goals was to really evaluate how do we do tenure and promotion. This is codified as part of the university's policies and procedures, so-called 7.12, if you know this jargon. But the point is, each department has to have a procedure in place, and we're taking particularly led by Dan Keefe in computer science and engineering, reviewing how we do that and see if we can't develop better practices that that will promote a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture. So if you're interested in that, also let us know. And that's something we're continuing to focus on right now. And we would welcome more people in our group. We've had maybe about a dozen or so with at any one time. And it's not a huge commitment, but there's a commitment. And but we can also, there's a lot of room within the 10 goals. We've really not been able to get too deep on a number of them, actually. And we'd like to resonate with where your personal interests and passions are too. We think we have that kind of bandwidth. So there's plenty of room to get involved in this focus group if you'd like to. So that's the update from our group. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Zern. I use the pronouns she, her, and I am the lead team member on the communications work group. And we also have a pretty ambitious agenda in the strategic plan. And it's, as Mas mentioned, it's been quite a year. Communications has been a big piece of that. And I very much related to the story that Edgar shared, and we've been throwing a lot of starfish and doing our best to try to make an impact. I think a few things that we're most proud of that were definitely in our plan is that throughout the last year, we've highlighted the voices of a lot of BIPOC students through various stories, videos on our website and our social media. That's really been one of the focus of a lot of our efforts, is to really elevate their voices. And our primary audiences are prospective students. We want to continue to attract more students of color, and then also our current students, to show successes of our various communities. So we've been really proud of that piece of it, and we will continue to do that. In addition to requiring accessibility training, or at least the foundations course, for all of our web editors that are part of our CSE web consolidated site. And for those of you that don't know, over the last couple of years, we have been working very hard to bring in all of our departments and many of our centers into one big consolidated site within the college. For a variety of reasons, and accessibility was really one of those. And so we required training, but then in addition to that, I'm really proud that with help from CSE IT and many others, we've been able to do additional training for our web editors and people who are doing digital communications, to make sure that everyone has access to information. I think especially during this time, that has been the most important thing. And then also a big piece of what we do is to support the other work groups. So in addition to the branding and the templates, even the templates that you're seeing here for the PowerPoint and other pieces, but also the various emails with information going out to our communities. So we see that as a big piece of what we do, is to support the other groups. One of our big goals is to create a more robust web presence. Right now we have a web page, a landing page, where there is some information, but we've been doing a lot of comparative analysis, what other universities are doing, what other colleges within the University of Minnesota are doing, and really would like to up our web presence. So that's probably one of our biggest goals throughout the next year. And we are looking to kind of reconfigure our group, and would love to have more people in our group, specifically students and faculty. We have quite a few staff, but we would love to have students and faculty. And of course, now that hopefully getting back to more regular meetings as well. So please do contact me if you're interested.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sadika Prabhu. I am a second-year student pursuing a degree in biomedical engineering, and I represent Engineers Without Borders on the student and postdoc team. So talking about our team, we've had a very successful summer and beginning of the semester after establishing a dialogue with the college deans that's promoting conversations about student grievances and letting students know that the deans are willing to listen and act. In the past 6 months, we've grown from a committee of about 3 people to a very large and engaged committee. As you can see, we have various student groups that participate. And our goal this year is to continue having these kind of productive meetings every month and continue to follow through on the action plans we're making with the deans each time, and as well as build an effective outreach group. Our general meetings are every other Monday for like an hour or so with a couple hours of outside work depending on our upcoming goals. So if you guys are interested in getting involved with working with us, you can reach out to Dan Garrison or Sam Franco, and I'll be sending their emails in the chat after this. So thank you for listening.
Should I just start? Okay. Hi, my name's Sue Mantell. I'm a professor in mechanical engineering and also the department head and part of the education and professional development team. So you notice that I'm not on the list of contacts. This is, I think, because these are more of our members that are part of the lead team. But I've been attending meetings regularly, and I'd like to just describe some of the activities and kind of goal of our group. So, and one of the reasons I joined the group was that I really am interested in promoting educational kinds of events and workshops that are appropriate for, and tuned in for our college. So, and the goals coming from the strategic plan were to increase the DEI knowledge for all members of the CSE community and build capacity among all members of our community for carrying out DEI work. And if I were to kind of summarize, sort of, we are not necessarily developing new training at this point, but more seeking out what kinds of trainings are available at the university or have been going on in various departments, and then trying to partner with them to make that training kind of appropriate and also feasible for our community, knowing that people don't have lots of time sometimes. So we are trying to come up with kind of options that suit people's interests and time. And so I would say that one of the things that we're most proud of, and I think many of you are getting these emails, I hope you're reading them, but that we have a D&I Alliance calendar, and there are bi-weekly upcoming event emails. So the calendar itself can be accessed on the webpage, and thank you, Rhonda, for putting that front and center on the webpage so that it's easy for people to find. But then also these bi-weekly event emails are helpful too. And then in terms of, future aspirations or things that we're doing. So today, a good example is we had some discussion about what would be appropriate things to do after this meeting. So starting at noon, we have a couple of choices for you, and we were behind the scenes working on what those might be. And so you can see here then our future aspiration, which we're working on today, is to create a bank of D&I moments. So many of you know about these banks for the safety moments, and we would like to come up with something comparable that we could all draw on that would help us when we start out staff meetings or even our own research group meetings to just bring D&I issues front and center. And this is a way of kind of getting the word out without everyone having to feel like they need to go to an event or some specific training. We meet once a month. It's a very collegial group. We have a lot of interesting conversations. We have students, faculty, and staff all attending. I would say our attendance ranges between 5 and 10 consistently. And it's a great place to bounce ideas off of each other and think about what might fit the needs of the larger group. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So great to see you, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Sam Franco. I use she, her pronouns. As mentioned, I am actually a lead team member as well as on the student and postdoc action group. But without funding is very important to what we are able to do and how we are able to expand our efforts. So was happy to provide some updates there as well. So something that we are very grateful for is that the College of Science and Engineering has been supporting all of our requests for D&I efforts, so including external support for scholarships and student groups. So one thing that we would really like to focus on, though, is getting additional community efforts to join our funding action group. because as we continue to do work, we will need additional funding from external sources. And hopefully some of those things that we would like to do are additional professional development, programming, as well as recognition for students, whether undergraduate or graduate, who are putting in additional effort outside of their own responsibilities. So that is something we are really looking forward to, is offering grants or scholarship for students who are going the extra mile, or even offering internship opportunities for students that are interested in getting additional efforts. So we are looking for lead and action team members for funding. So if that's something you're really passionate about or wanting to get involved with, please contact Kara or Edgar. And beyond the funding group, what can you do? So you've been able to hear about updates from each of our action groups today. How can you get involved? So if you're interested, if you don't already get our emails or have not joined the Alliance, that is a great way to start. Join the Alliance, and I'm sure the links will be dropped in the chat. That's a great way to get emails about what's going on, meetings such as this one, where you can get updates about what the Alliance is up to. And also getting additional information about more professional development or training opportunities that we are going to offer. If you're interested in getting a little bit more involved than just being a member of the Alliance as a champion, feel free to get involved with an action team. So maybe you're interested in funding, or interested in getting involved with classroom opportunities. Maybe you're interested in joining us on the student postdoc team. Any one of those, in the additional form, you can express interest in an action team, and we would then be able to connect you with the appropriate action team lead members to invite you to meetings or additional areas of interest. So if you have questions about either one of these, feel free to contact us with the CSE Alliance email as well. Thank you. Yes, and as mentioned, we do have some really great workshops that are taking place today. So we will be offering on this call. So if you stay on this call today in this Zoom meeting, we're going to be doing a D&I moment workshop. So it's really focusing on how to incorporate D&I and allyship into your classrooms, meetings, and gatherings, and how to create a D&I moment. So really great tools on how to address diversity and inclusion and equity areas of improvement in all of these spaces, especially since many of us are walking and experiencing CSE in various places as either staff, faculty, or as a student. So great way to have this in your tool belt. Or if you're a faculty member or you're teaching, we also are offering a teaching inclusive classrooms training, and that is on a separate Zoom call starting at noon. That's from noon to 1:30 today. You're going to be introduced to frameworks for inclusive teaching. So that's looking at accessibility in the classroom, language in the classroom, how to support students, and to make your classroom a welcoming space for all students. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity. If you have the time availability today, I would highly recommend joining them. I think that's all for me. Thank you. Oh yeah.
All right, and I just want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank all of the action team and lead team members for your incredible work and dedication, but I also want to acknowledge all of the champions here today. You're the ones here in your departments, in your units, making a difference, committing to diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And I think going back to the starfish analogy, sprinkling those moments throughout the entire college, sprinkling those efforts throughout the whole college is really going to have a big impact, and it is already having an impact. And so I want to thank you all. We have some time for Q&A before we head off to our workshop sessions. Any of us can hang out for a little bit and answer any questions you might have. Listen to any feedback. We are here, so feel free to put your questions either in the chat. If you would like to, you can ask them live. Maybe raise your hand to help us facilitate asking those questions. But we will hang out here for a few more minutes until we have our next event. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your commitment. And I'm really happy to see you all here today.
Hi, this is Rhonda. I just wanted to thank you guys for doing an amazing amount of work and just the range of activities that have been going on just over the last, this whole year, 2020. It's been phenomenal, thinking about when Edgar first talked to our department about the start of the Alliance and seeing so many people engage. I'm really, it's a very pleasant thing to see happen at this time. And of course, very complicated, obviously, but I really appreciate the work of so many people. It makes me feel like there's an amplifier finally, of people working together in their own way on this topic that's really important. I was wondering if, as you think about the materials that come out, sometimes I find myself struggling to know how to prioritize the different activities. And so I was wondering if you've given any thought to maybe identify, in some of it saying, who might benefit best from this? Not to exclude anyone, but if there's something that would be helpful for faculty and or students or new graduate students, that there be some kind of structure that organizes the information so you can prioritize and say, yeah, okay, I'm a first year grad student. I should definitely go to this, this, and this. And then if I have bandwidth, I can do other things. Because I find myself kind of wanting to pop into things, but I'm just not sure what and how. And there's so much that sometimes I'm just overstimulated by the variety of options.
Does anyone want to, Joy, you unmuted. Do you want to take a stab at that? Otherwise I will go ahead.
Sure, Rhonda, I think that's a great idea. I think we can take that back, and perhaps when we put things together, we can kind of do like when we see conference flyers and they say, who would benefit from this most, or who would have the most benefit, something like that. And maybe we can add that in to kind of help facilitate that. That's a great idea.
And maybe we could also add in time commitment.
Mm-hmm.
That might be another kind of layer of organization that would be helpful.
Absolutely. I think we could work with that, because I hear what you're saying. There's so many things. And I think, obviously, I think everybody can benefit from everything, but you're right. I think prioritizing and saying, who could be I don't want to say primary benefactor, but who would this work best for at this time, or something like that. I think we can work with that. I really do. Thank you for that.
And I also think that, because everyone is trying to figure out how can I help, right? One of the things that I've thought about over the years is, we could treat it like a mutual fund, right? You don't have to do everything, but what if there was a challenge to everyone in the CSE community to do 5 hours of D&I work? And we're giving you some options to pick your 5 hours in if you put time to the activity. How much better would the community be in general if everyone could commit 5 hours?
Right.
And so, you can pose a challenge back to people who may not be content creators, but they want to know how to participate, but they need small bites, right? They need appetizer,
right?
Appetizer bites of this stuff, because it's hard work and it's a lot. But then eventually you figure out what you really enjoy, and then you'll start to do what you can, and then you will expand as your schedule and stuff allows. But if you think about 4 hours, we have the community drive, right, which encourages us to contribute our financial resources. But the resource you're asking me to commit really is time for professional education. So I think if you sort of now look at this as a form of professional education for those of us who are employees, and then of course for students who will someday become employers or leaders, that might be a way to get the involvement you want for the effort that you have people putting in to create opportunities for us to learn. And that's not a big ask, right? I mean, and you said, Rhonda, can you give me 4 hours this semester? I can find 4 hours. You asked me to give you 4 weeks or because I have so much and I can't distill it, then sometimes I'm just blinded by not being able to process for myself of a specific goal. And then if that can go up, right? Next year, you know, the CSE community invested how many hours, where hours are now dollars, toward D&I work. That would be huge, I think, because we've never done it before or measured. And of course, people who are impacted like myself, I'm doing way more than I should humanly do. But, you know, it is what it is, as my mother would say. So you just suck it up and do it. But I think people want to engage. They just need ways to engage. And then finding what that sweet spot is. If the whole community benefits from everybody doing 4 hours, we might find that 8 hours is not too much. But in general, we're all educated now, and that seeps into everything we do, which is really what you want, right?
Right.
I just wanted to add as well, and this is not my idea. This is the collective idea that a reward system, perhaps a badge system in which we recognize electronic badges that recognize effort that we all put, might be a way to start thinking about how to track ourselves in our journey towards being anti-racist, being a supportive ally, etc. So I think that it's something that the Ally has been talking about. Some committees, D&I committees, have been talking about. So I think that there is a lot of momentum to do it. And I think that if the community is asking for it, we can promote it. I think we should be able to do it as well.
Agreed. And being that this is a journey, I think we've got time to do all of this. It's not, you know, something that we are like working for and it's going to be done next year or in 2 years. This is a journey. And so I think we've got time to fit in those ideas as well.
Well, I was encouraged by the talk that David Blank, I think, from chemistry gave our department over some of the efforts that were going on, and how he talked about, you know, with small steps that led to, it's sort of like you say, okay, we really want to be at 20% of whatever, right? But you start with small steps on the safety, and then you integrate it so deeply into the root system of the organization that it's just what people do. And I think DE&I work has to be kind of the same ilk, that you know, at first it was like, oh, only those people do it. Okay, we're past that. Now we have people who are interested, but we have to figure out how to make it just the way we think. Like, of course we do this work, and you know, we have to do certification for everything else, right? I can't get funding if I don't do my effort and my other certifications. So it's not that it's a requirement, but it's about a culture shift. And when people feel like it's something that's not so far out of their reach, and they see the benefits also, like, oh, okay, now it's not so hard to have that awkward, what would have been an awkward conversation. I now feel prepared to talk to a student that's different from me or having challenges that I haven't experienced, because I've been doing the small work that has prepared me for that moment. And then that makes you want to do more, because you're like, okay, that only took 4 hours of my time. How efficient is that? You know?
Rhonda, we're going to invite you to give more pep talks for the Alliance. We're going to send you to each department and encourage you to for everyone to commit small moments. Thank you for that. Does anyone have anything else? Otherwise, I think it's time to move on to our, yeah, it is noon. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to move on to our workshops. It was great to see you all. Thank you for tuning in. And we will hear from you in the future. You'll hear from us in the future. Thank you.